So in your, extensive experience working in Asia, what is it about this region or even India in particular that grabs your attention?
Well, it's one is just the economics, right? The population. You've got 1.3 billion people. There's so much potential still in terms of in the OTT space. People coming online to different platforms, and creatively, India to me has always been a fantastic market because it has a very old industry, and for many years it was very domestically focused, and I guess one could argue it still is. Foreign movies don't do that well in India. It's gotten better, but traditionally they have not. Now India has really opened up in a way that people are open to different types of content, and you can credit companies like Netflix for that, or Amazon. It's allowed Indian creators to create content that they previously could not make in India because nobody would buy it. The GECs wouldn't buy it. There was no place to put it. So I think creatively, as everywhere in the world, OTT has provided this platform for telling all kinds of different stories. And we're seeing, they're being accepted. I mean, in India, India won its first international Emmy last year with Delhi Crime, which is fantastic. What a great show. There's a lot of great product coming out of India now, and part of the things I'm working on also is to see what can travel beyond India and what kind of partnerships one can do between India and Hollywood and other parts of the world, because I think that's a new opportunity just because the content has changed. And beyond that, I think China is a very interesting market because it's so important, at least for the United States, in terms of revenues. Some Hollywood movies make or break it in the Chinese market. Some make more money in that market than they do elsewhere. So it's become a very important element for international theatrical content coming out of the United States. It's at the moment much more closed, and a lot of retrenchment. A lot of money was coming into Hollywood from China, and for the most part, that has ceased for the moment.
Rick, you were talking about the shift in content with Amazon, Netflix investing in India. What do you think triggered that? Because for the longest time, a lot of Indian stories have been inspired from storytelling and narratives in the West. What has really, brought the change?
I think just the possibility that somebody would buy the product. I think the first series that really went into that direction was Sacred Games, which was based on a New York Times best-selling book. It was a miniseries type story, something that is maybe akin to a Sopranos, something that just did not have a home in India. There was no place you could put it. A broadcaster would not buy a piece of product like that. So it really comes with the end user, the platform, that there's a place to sell it. And I think, a few people who are involved in the early shows for the streamers in India took that chance. And now, so much fantastic product is coming out. I mean, look at something like Scam 1992, which is a show you could have never made in India a few years ago. There would have been no one who would have broadcasted. So to me, that is part of it. The other is Indian audiences, particularly younger people, want to see different content. They see European content, they see Korean content, they see American content. And I think they want to see some of those stories told in India as well. So, I mean, especially in India, to me, it's very revolutionary because so much has changed in the last 5-6 years.
And what is the trend that you see? We're noticing that online curated content is increasingly trying to reach out to masses. Do you think that this would probably, in the future compete directly with television? Currently, it's not. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it will. I mean, if you look at the United States, especially, the linear channels right now have seen ratings drop tremendously. There are still more viewers on broadcast channels than on OTT channels, but it's shifting very quickly. Something like a Disney Plus or an HBO Max. We're going to have Paramount Plus in the United States, Peacock. All of this content is going to be shifted to the online platforms. So because of that on its own, the online platforms are going to grow tremendously because they're going to have the viewers. And there's a lot of cord cutting going on. People aren't going to want to pay for cable and for OTT subscriptions. So that shift will gradually happen, but also because the studios or the content makers are shifting their best content to those platforms. For many years, the premium platform in the United States was HBO. That's where you could do all the really interesting product that you could not do anywhere else. Now, there are multiple platforms that do that. And even HBO itself is shifting that content from HBO linear to HBO, OTT, HBO Max. So it's going to be consumer driven. People want to watch what they want to watch when they want to watch it. They don't want to be told. I mean, it's amazing, that there are still TV schedules. This show is on Sunday night once a week. But if you don't catch it then, at least here in the US, lots of times you can catch it on Hulu, a few days later. So this is all evolving and very interestingly here in the United States, I think there was a moment of great panic a couple of years ago at Warner Brothers and at Disney when all of a sudden they realized we're not in the streaming space. And overnight, these studios sort of had to reinvent themselves. And there was a lot of experimentation going on, still going on, especially with theatrical releases. Do we put them on the OTT platform or do we put them in the theaters or do we do a hybrid model? And now we're seeing a movement back to theatrical. Some of the hybrid models did not work that well, and some of the big theatrical movies underperformed. And yes, COVID had a lot to do with that. But if you just look at the last couple of weeks, a movie like Chang'e, from Marvel, with an Asian cast, is put only in theaters by Disney and it's done tremendously well. The new James Bond film just came out in theaters, is killing it internationally. So there's a lot of hope and breathing room again that the theatrical experience is coming back. In India, that migration is happening too. Platforms like Netflix and Amazon aren't that big yet, but you've got Hotstar, which is a very large platform, and you've got so many other platforms, domestic Indian platforms that are growing. And then these American streamers, HBO Max and Paramount Plus and so forth, Apple, are all going to come to India. They can't ignore India. It's the most important market in the world. So when you have that, it's going to just explode more and more. The beauty in India is 100% FDI, foreign direct investment. There is a very, for the most part, cooperative government. I'm comparing it to China now, where you can't go in. So I think every company here in LA who's in the streaming business right now is trying to figure out their India strategy if they don't already have one.